Welcome to a very fun little book video. It is July, almost the end of July, 2025, and I am going to make myself a little TBR time capsule. So, what I'm going to do is I'm taking 5 books from my shelves. I'm going to wrap them up in a scarf of mine, tuck them away in a drawer under my bed, and leave them there until January 1st, 2026. So these will be, in theory, some of the first books that I'm reading in the new year. So I've picked out 5 books that I think I've been excited about long enough that I will still be excited about them in the new year. I picked a bunch of different genres and book lengths, and I'm very excited to read all of them. And I'm going to take you through the stack now. So, starting off, kind of a random pick. This is a thriller that I picked up at Powell's kind of on a whim, and I haven't gotten around to it yet, but it sounds really fun. It's about, like, you take in a package for a neighbor, and then it kicks off this, like, whole thing with maybe a serial killer? I don't know. Sounds fun. Next, I have the first book in a very anticipated series of mine, and that is Senlin Ascends by Josiah Braincroft. This is the first book in a quartet that I have heard so many good things about, and I really want to read it. It's about a man whose wife gets kidnapped, and he has to, like, climb up this tower. And there's all this sorts of, like, weird stuff going on in the tower, kind of Alice in Wonderland-like. I've heard the main character is very unlikable, but that's purposeful and that there is growth throughout the series, and so I'm very excited to read this one. And that will let me kind of start off a series that I'm excited about in the new year. Next, we have Zoraida Cordova's The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I don't know anything about this, and I'm going to leave it at that. I found this at a Little Free Library because it was doing the rounds. It's a Book of the Month Club. I see a lot of Book of the Month Club books end up in Little Free Libraries in my area, and sometimes I pick them up. This is one. I was hearing a lot about it at the time. I want to read it. I just heard good things, but I don't know anything about what it's about. 2 books left. I have The Jump Off Creek by Molly Gloss. Molly Gloss is a local Oregon author who wrote some fantastical things, and then some just regular, like, lit fic. This is a historical novel about a pioneer woman who's homesteading by herself in Oregon, and I really love the voice that Molly Gloss gives to her female characters. They're very, like, strong, independent, a lot of times older female characters. I really enjoy reading from them. And then the final book I have is a reread that I'm so excited. I read this when I was a teenager. I remember so much about it. This is Rose Daughter by Robin McKinley. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite fairy tales, and this book, like, changed my brain chemistry. That sounds drastic to say, but I read this, like, over 15 years ago, and I still remember so much about it, and remember, like, the feelings it gave me. Like, I remember being at the end and crying about what was happening, like, profusely, and I haven't read it since, but I've been meaning to, and so I think 2026, starting the year off with a beloved reread, I'm very excited about. So those are my 5 books. I'm going to wrap them up, and I will come back to you in 2026 to unpackage them. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's January 5th. I finally had some time to sit down and film myself opening my little TBR time capsule that I've had wrapped up in a drawer for a while now, and I'm excited to open this and read the books that are inside. So I've had them kind of loosely tied up in this scarf of mine. I think I remember everything that's in here, but let's see if I actually do, because maybe there's something that caught me by surprise. So the first book is, I remembered this one because I was thinking about it the other day, Sebastian Fitzek, The Package. I'm excited to read this one. I want like a fast-paced read. I have like a challenge that I'm doing right now where I want to be reading books quickly. So a page turner is like just the thing for right now. Okay, this one. This is my little gift to myself, Senlin Ascends. I have wanted to read this series for ages, and for some reason, I like never let myself start it. I think because I'm scared I'm not gonna like it, and this is gonna be the year that I hopefully read it, enjoy it, and go on to read the entire series. This is a series I want to get to this year. I'm so excited. I'm glad I put this on my TBR. I'm really excited to get to this one. Next. Oh my gosh, I forgot I owned this one. Funnily enough, I just recently read another of her westerns in my 12 TBRs of Christmas video, the 12 more TBRs of Christmas that I did for Martine. I read The Hearts of Horses by Molly Gloss and really loved it. It was a very quiet, heartwarming book, and so I forgot this was one I owned and that I'd put it in here. So that'll be really exciting. This one's short. It's under 200 pages, and the other one was so just warm. It was like a hug of a novel. I'm excited to read that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. Okay, this one. This was my other gift to myself, rereading one of my favorite books of all time. I'm so nervous to reread this, but I'm also so excited. Beauty and the Beast is my favorite fairy tale. Well, that and Bluebeard. I love those two fairy tales. And this is my favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling I've ever read. And I hope it's as magical as I remember it being. And then this one I did remember. Zoraida Cordova's The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I think this is a sci-fi? No. Magical realism. People in this family have gifts. I don't know much about it. I've just heard good things about it and saw it at a little free library, picked it up, and here we are. I need to get to this. It's another short one, 316 pages. Thank you, past Cheyenne, for being kind with the page counts, because this is the longest one, Senlin Ascends, and it's less than 400 pages. So I was very kind to myself. I'm going to be reading these, and I will get back to you with what I think of them. And I have my TBR Time Capsule for 2026 picked out and ready to go, back in the drawer, all wrapped up. And I'm not going to be pulling those out for a full year. So I'm kind of hoping I forget more of what's in there, but we'll see. Hello, I am back because I have finished an entire book. I read The Package by Sebastian Fitzek, and I really enjoyed this one. I'm giving it a 4. This book is very twisty and turny. I'm trying to think of how it opens so I don't give away too much, because there's like a lot to this. But it opens up with this young girl who has a father who's not very nice to her, and she is scared of something in her closet, and her parents are like, there's nothing in your closet, go back to bed. And then something actually is in her closet. And then we follow her as she's older, when she gets attacked by a serial killer who doesn't kill her, even though he's killed every other victim. And so this story follows her from there after the serial killer attack. I really enjoyed the twists and turns in this one. Like, it was one of those things where I wasn't thinking too hard. I was just reading and enjoying it and trying to guess what was happening, and I did guess what was happening, but some of the things that were happening made me like second guess myself a lot, just to be like, I don't know, maybe this is happening, maybe this is real, I don't know what's happening. Very psychological. It focuses a lot on this character's kind of psyche and all the things that she's gone through and how it's affecting her and how people view her to be more or less trustworthy. So that was really interesting. It was very tense and creepy at times, and just like exactly what I want from like a good thriller, where you're kind of guessing towards the very end what happened. And I'm really glad I got to this. Thank you, Past Self, for giving me a fun book, and I can't wait to see what the other ones are like. Hello, I'm here because I'm starting the next book. I'm going to be reading Senlin Ascends as the next book. And I started this one in February. I was doing a challenge where I started a book every day for a month in like end of January, early February. And I read a few pages in this and I really, really liked it. It's about this couple that are on their honeymoon and they're going to visit the Tower of Babel, which is here. And I know that something's going to happen and his wife is going to go missing and he has to like climb the tower to save her. So I know that's where we're going, but we're not there yet. I'm like 8 pages through, but the writing is really good. I'm really liking the writing style. I've heard that Senlin, the main character, is really annoying in this book, so I kind of have like tempered expectations about liking him, but I'm hoping that I will be able to kind of push through not liking him. Sometimes unlikable characters really bother me, but sometimes I just find them interesting to follow because you're following someone who thinks differently from you, hence the unlikable part. You find it hard to like them. So I'm really excited for this. Like I said, the prose itself is just really good, and I'm really excited about like this tower concept. Something about that really intrigues me. I've almost written a novel of my own that like features like a tower, like a city that is a tower. So I think the concept of like this weird tower really intrigues me, and I'm very excited to see what it's about. Hello, I'm here to update you on one of the books for this challenge. I can't remember if I told you, but I was working on Tuesday and I wasn't going back until Monday, and I left my book at my nanny kid's house, and I didn't really want to go pick it up, so I was just like, just keep it and I'll read something else. So I picked up a different book for this project because this is my main project right now. So I'll have to get Senlin Ascends on Monday, and then I can continue reading it, which was unfortunate because I was really liking that one and hoping I would have been able to like read more this week, but I didn't, but that's okay. So I'm now reading The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I almost want to say Zoraida Cordova. That's the author, Zoraida Cordova. This is a book that I'm halfway through, so I feel like it has kind of a slow start, but it's also kind of interesting. This is about an Ecuadorian family who, there's a very wide family. Their mother/grandmother, depending on which perspective you're reading from, is a very mysterious woman. She lives on this property called Four Rivers that was kind of like a rocky wasteland area, and when Orquídea moved there to like set up a house, Orquídea is a little bit magical. We don't know why or how, but we know she has access to some magic, and she like built this beautiful lush orchard and this beautiful house on this property, and things are thriving. And we kind of learn about that happened in the past. And then in the present timeline, we're learning that Orquídea has sent out letters to her family basically saying, I'm dying, come and like collect, you know, your inheritance because I'm about to die. And the story kind of goes from there. We're learning about both Orquídea's past from childhood until, you know, the present when she's dying. And then we're learning about her generations that came from her. She was married 5 times and had a bunch of different kids, and a bunch of them have kids. And so there's a ton of people that you're trying to follow. And it's this very interesting, whimsical magic that you don't really understand. It kind of reminds me of Isabel Allende's House of the Spirits, because in that book, it'll just be like, this girl has blue hair and floats instead of walks. And it's not really explained why or how that happens. And that's that kind of like magical realism, I feel like, at least in my experience, that's kind of how it manifests. It's this magical quality that doesn't necessarily need to be explained. It is what it is. And I think there is a reason why Orquídea Divina has this kind of magic, and I think we're going to find out. But I don't mind not really knowing why she has magic, even though I think it will be important later on. But like right now, I'm just enjoying the magicalness of it, and there's like really weird stuff happening with the magic, which is kind of interesting to watch. So I'm having a good time with it. It's reading very quickly. I read almost 100 pages of it today. I think like 90 pages. So it reads very fast. And looking up reviews, a lot of people are saying that they much preferred Orquídea's past to the present timeline. And at first I was like, I don't know, I kind of like the present timeline better than the past. But now that we've gotten to the halfway point, I almost think it's switching. And I think the past is going to become more interesting based on what's happening in the present timeline. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, this has been like a good read, a solid read. I'm not like in love with it, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I've heard maybe it doesn't have like the best ending, so I'm kind of like not too worried about it, like sticking the landing. I'm just interested to see where it's going to go from here. So I'll keep you updated as I keep reading. I think I'm going to try to finish this one and then go back to Senlin Ascends when I actually get it on Monday. Yeah, I'll check back in when I have some more thoughts. Okay, guys, I'm back with the DNF. I made it to like page 170 of The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina, and I'm going to put it down. This just got not interesting very quickly. The beginning was really, really good. It had a really good opening, and something happens that just makes it so that like everything interesting just kind of stops, and then we're in more of like a literary book, and I just wasn't finding it that interesting. So I decided to put it down. I'd rather just read something else. I will drop this back off at a Little Free Library, because if I didn't tell you, I found it at a Little Free Library. And we'll move on. I am working on reading Senlin Ascends, and I am really enjoying that one, though I've been reading it very slowly, but I am really loving it. Okay, I haven't talked to you at all about this, and I'm just flying through the book, and so I need to slow down and talk to you about it. I picked up Rose Daughter, and I'm like a third of the way through. I'm on page 110 out of 300, so a little over a third. And I'm in love with this book. I'm so happy that I'm rereading it and that it's living up to expectations. This is like reminding me all over again why I love Beauty and the Beast retellings. I just love the aesthetics and the magic and the fear and distrust that's like slowly gonna blossom into something else. It's so good. And this book in particular is so good. I have read so many Robin McKinley books, and none of them hold a candle to this at all. This is by far my favorite book of hers. It's the first book of hers that I ever picked up, and like, it's been hard to follow. Any of the other books have a hard time comparing to this one. So this one really takes its time. We just recently got to the actual like Beauty and the Beast portion of it, because it takes its time setting up like what is magic in this world? Like, what magic is there available? Because there is a little magic in the wider world. And it sets up the family, which is a dad and his 3 daughters, Lionheart, Jewel Tongue, and Beauty. And they are from a wealthy merchant family. And then the dad, some business things fall through and disaster strikes, and they are basically like out of money immediately, and they go to a tiny cottage in like a rural country, and things move from there. But it really does take like 80 pages to like really immerse you into the story and draws you in. This book is so descriptive. Like, we're talking like Tolkien levels of description. There's just pages and pages and pages of description, and I eat it up. The aesthetics of this Beauty and the Beast retelling are peak. They're so good, and I am just loving it. I want to like devour it and read it all at one point, like in one sitting, and at the same time I want to take it like 10 pages at a time and slow down and savor it. So I'm loving it. I have distinct memories of reading the ending of this when I was a teenager. I was out in the summer in California. We had like a tent on our little back porch that we would often like camp out right outside our back door on the porch in a tent. And it was so fun. And I was reading out there, and I remember like getting towards the end, and it was so intense, the moments that I was in, that I remember being like hot, like sweating because the sun was coming up and it was hot because this was the summer, and I didn't want to leave because I wanted to read it, and I was really distressed at some things that were happening, and I was like sobbing and crying and reading, and I was sweaty. So this is like a very core memory of my teenage reading years. There's like a few that really stick in there, and this is one of them. And I'm so interested to see if I'm going to have that same reaction when I like get to that point. It'll be really interesting. But yeah, I'm obsessed. I love it so much. All right, I'm back, and I have finished Rose Daughter by Robin McKinley. I really had a good time with this. It is amazing what our brains cling to after like reading something like 20 years ago. I remembered like one thing about this book, maybe like a couple random things here and there, but like for the most part, I remembered one thing, which I can't tell you about because there's a spoiler, one plot thing, and I'd forgotten everything else. But I still loved this, so my teenage taste still holds up. I'm not giving it a 5-star. I think I'm giving it like a 4-star, because I do think that this is very slow and a little bit less emotional from an adult point of view than it was from like a teenager point of view. As a teenager, I thought this was like the most romantic love story of all time. And I do really like the romantic aspect of this book. I do think it does this like slow growing and learning to love someone, and like before you know it, you've gone from being like fearful of someone to loving them in a way that isn't necessarily like creepy Stockholm syndrome, but more like you understand why they start to love each other, and you kind of see this slow progression over time. So that's what I love maybe the most out of this book. I also love just the writing is so beautiful. It's a very slow novel. It really takes its time. It tries to like write very evocatively so that you're really like set in the scene physically, and like your senses are being told what is around you. The magic in here, this had so much more magic than I remember. I didn't read like tons and tons of fantasy, but I read a lot of fairy tale retellings. And this one in particular has a really good soft magic system. It's not explained at all what the magic is, what it can do. It's just there's little hints here and there of what magic can do in this world. And it is so soft. Like anything, you could tell me like dogs turn into griffins if you wink at them with your left eye because of magic. And I'd be like, okay, you know, like something so ridiculous could happen because of the magic. And it's like, we don't really, there's no rules for the magic that are given to us. It is just magic. And sometimes that can be frustrating in a book. I think this is a very quiet story. And it works really well to have a sort of soft magic system just kind of running threads through there, and it just makes it seem very magical and exciting, and you're curious about the magic, but it's not disappointing if you don't know exactly how it works. So I think this really holds up as a reread. I loved it. I'm definitely glad I bought a physical copy of this to have, because when I read it as a teenager, I got it from the library, and I like having this copy to own, and I'm glad I read it to confirm that yes, I do want to own it, and it wasn't just like teenage rose-colored glasses loving it. I actually do love this story and would probably revisit it again in the future. Hello, I am back to update you on some books. I decided to DNF the Jump Off Creek. I had not talked to you about this because I was only 25% of the way through when I decided to put it down, which is sad because Molly Gloss is one of my favorite authors. I really enjoy her books. I will say I prefer her fantasy books over her non-fantasy books, which this one is. So this is about a woman who is going to be a pioneer and settle her own homestead in Oregon in the 1890s. So the story opens with her already like going to the homestead. She's lost and she meets another character, and this is a very slow, thoughtful, meditative novel. There are some other people on the other homesteads that she meets. I'm trying to remember what her name was. Lydia. Lydia meets some of the other homesteaders. What I wasn't loving is this focuses a lot on like animal cruelty, and it's definitely not putting it in a good light. It's not saying that like this is good, but one of the things that's happening is that like people are getting paid to bring wolf ears in because the wolves are eating the cattle, sort of. But what's actually happening is that people will poison meat, leave it for the wolves to come eat, then they'll go cut off the ears of the wolves and sell them. And what's happening is when they can't find other animals to kill, they'll end up killing someone's cow, poisoning the meat, wolves come eat it, they die. And there was a lot of that, and it was just very depressing. So I don't know, there's part of me that like in another time and place I could maybe read this and enjoy it, but it is just not what I was wanting to read, and I'd rather put it down than force myself to go through with it. But it's not, the writing is beautiful. I love Molly Gloss's writing. I really like the main character of Lydia. She's a very like strong-willed, self-assured woman. And Molly Gloss writes a lot of those characters, which is really fun to read. Which is why I really enjoy her works, is usually for her characters. But this one just didn't work for me, and I'm okay passing on it. I am, however, 136 pages into Semlin Ascends, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm really having a good time with it. We are learning more about the Tower of Babel, and it is weird and wacky, and I'm not really sure why things are the way they are, but I'm enjoying reading about them so much. I am predicting a 5 stars, but I don't really want to speak too soon. But you might be able to peek in the corner and see that I have the rest of the series out from the library, because I'm hopeful that I will want to continue it sooner rather than later. So those are the updates I have for you, and I'll come back when I'm done with Senlin, the last book. Hello, I'm here to give you an update on Senlin Ascends. I made it to the halfway point. It doesn't look like it, but there's this whole section at the end that's like a chapter or two of the sequel. So it looks like I'm not halfway, but I am. I might be even slightly over halfway. And I'm just really loving it so far. I have been reading it for quite a while. This is the one of the stack that I've been reading the longest because I've been reading some other books kind of in between. But I need to finish this before Squashette series starts because I want to be able to continue the series and have that as an option. So I'm definitely working my butt off to finish this one so that I can have that as an option because I have the whole series out from the library. And this, what do I want to tell you about it? The world building in this book is really, really good. We're getting these almost like episodes of weird things happening, but we're always staying with our character Senlin, and it's kind of that like, I don't know, I guess almost like a pilgrimage trope of like we're following a character on a journey, they're running into really weird things, but it's so fun, it's so creative, you never know what's coming, and so the journeys aren't boring. This isn't like journeying on horseback from inn to inn, tavern to tavern. This is like, okay, we're in like a brand new area. Every level of the tower is like its whole different culture and vibe and structure and groups of people. And there's this like politics that we're slowly building out. We just got introduced to like, there may be more well, I'm sure there's more politics than we know, but we're getting introduced to what some of that might be. And so the world building of this is just so strong, and I can't wait to like be 3 books into the series and really have like a really fleshed out world. And I think Josiah Bancroft is really good at characters as well, because I really like Senlin, even though a lot of people said they kind of hate him, and I understand why, but he's like a full, fleshed out character, and he's not like the bravest hero that ever existed or anything. He's actually quite scared of things, and he's not someone who's like, yay, I'm gonna go take down this tower and find my wife. He's like uncertain and a little bit lazy about it at times and not urgent enough and unsure about what he's willing to do or not willing to do. And it's just so interesting to watch him kind of have to overcome every fear to like keep moving on this journey. And so I'm just loving it. I like the darkness of the tower. It's not like as happy as people in this world might think it is from the outside. People have never been there. There's a kind of dark underbelly to it, and I'm really excited to learn more about it. I'm loving it so far. Hello, I'm back to wrap up my final TBR Time Capsule book. I finished Senlin Ascends, and you guys, this was 5 stars. I love this, just like I hoped I would. This was a very fun fantasy novel. It went in a slightly different direction than I thought it was going to when I first started, and I think that it's going to be really cool to see where it goes, because not only was Senlin climbing the tower as we read this book, we go to see a few different levels. I think the bottom levels, like the first 3 or 4 that we see, were probably my favorite. The one that we were in at the end was probably the least interesting of the levels, but I am intrigued to see where they're going next. So what I loved about it is that as Senlin is climbing these levels, he's learning a lot about like the politics of this world, which is super interesting, super fun. There's a lot of very like powerful people that I think might be really strong villains that we're gonna have to kind of be up against. And I actually like, after reading this book, I don't understand why people don't like Senlin. Senlin is not like a hero character by any means. Like, he doesn't have like the physical means to be a hero in this world, and he has to rely on smarts and other people and teamwork to help him. And, you know, he gets caught up in despair at times, and sometimes he's a little too eager and he thinks he's a little smarter than he is, and things go wrong. And so I think he's just a very human character. I think that he is actually really interesting to follow because he's a fascinating character, but he's very realistic. He's not your stereotypical fantasy hero, but he's like trying to become one to save his wife. And I just really love this. The one thing I do wish is that we got his wife's perspective. And I hope as we get further into the novel series that we get some of her perspective, because we got tiny bits of it in here. We got to see what was happening with her, but not a lot of it, and I would like to see more. But this is 5 stars. I'm so excited. I don't know if you can see them, but I have like the other ones up over there and ready to be read. And Squashette series is coming up very soon in like 3 days. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get to one of those during the readathon. That would be really fun to like kind of jump in to the next one right away. But yeah, this was just as good as I hoped it to be. And I'm really glad that I picked this one to add to my TBR Time Capsule. I really enjoyed it. So that wraps up this fun little event. As I said before at the beginning of the video, I will definitely be doing this again. I already have the books tucked away. It's like nearing the end of April, so this took way longer than I thought because I was reading other things as well. But I still really enjoyed the experience of kind of tucking away some books to be read at a later date. And I cannot remember what I put away. I remember one of the books that's in the TBR Time Capsule for next year, but I don't remember the other ones. So it'll be a surprise to everyone what books I pick out next year. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Would you ever consider doing something like this to, I don't know, gift yourself a book that you already own in a weird way? I don't know, it's kind of a strange concept, but I had a really good time with it. Let me know if you'd ever try it, just to give yourself a little bookish surprise. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!